Imagine stepping outside to check your mailbox. But instead of sunlight, you find darkness. A wall of dust, taller than a skyscraper, is racing toward you. It swallows the sky, the ground, everything in between. You can't breathe. Your eyes burn. You're choking on dirt. This isn't fiction. It's history. And what's worse, it might be our future. April 14th, 1935, a day that would go down in infamy as Black Sunday. Winds exceeding 50 miles per hour tore through the American Great Plains, lifting over 300 million tons of topsoil into the air. That's not a typo. 300 million tons. Entire fields vanished. Homes disappeared under drifts. The sun turned red, then black. This was no ordinary storm. It was a black blizzard, a dust storm so massive it blotted out the day and choked life from the land. Hospitals filled with patients suffering from dust pneumonia. Families taped wet rags around windows, doors, even their own mouths. But the dust still crept in. Many didn't survive. But to understand the Dust Bowl, you have to understand what came before it. The Great Plains, stretching from Texas to Canada, once thrived with native grasses. For thousands of years, deep-rooted plants anchored the soil, surviving floods, droughts, fire, and frost. Bison herds grazed in rhythm with nature, never overstaying their welcome. Nature had it handled. Then came the 1920s. America was booming. Crops were cash. Steel plows and tractors promised fast fortunes. And farmers, encouraged by government incentives, tore through the plains like never before. Millions of acres of native grasses were ripped up. In their place, wheat, corn, cotton. But here's what no one realized. Those native grasses weren't just plants. They were the bones of the land. And once they were gone, nothing held the soil in place. Then came the drought. From 1931 to 1934, rainfall across the plains dropped by 40%. No snow in winter. Crops failed, wells dried, livestock died, and worst of all, the land cracked open. There was nothing to hold the soil down. And so, the wind took it. Storm after storm rolled through, growing stronger, blacker, more relentless. Some stretched for hundreds of miles. People said it felt like the end of the world. They weren't exaggerating. The Dust Bowl wasn't just a natural disaster. It was an economic and social collapse. Over 750,000 farms shut down. 2 to 3 million people fled westward, most heading for California, chasing rumors of jobs, shelter, anything. They left behind ghost towns and barren land. And here's the haunting truth. It was entirely man-made. Faced with national catastrophe, the U.S. government launched something bold, something never before attempted on this scale, the Great Plains Shelter Belt Project. The mission? To plant a wall of trees from Canada to Texas to slow the wind, trap moisture, and hold the soil in place. A living wall of green stretching across a dying land. The plan was massive. The Civilian Conservation Corps and Works Progress Administration were mobilized. Farmers were recruited, seedlings, shovels, and hope were handed out. Between 1935 and 1942, they planted over 220 million trees. 30,000 shelter belts, 18,000 square miles of protection. And guess what? It worked. Wind speeds dropped by up to 50%. Soil erosion fell by 65%. Crops came back. Towns stabilized. People stopped fleeing. The Great Plains began to heal. But healing takes maintenance. And that's where the plan began to unravel. In the 1940s, as rains returned and memories faded, funding dried up. What once had yearly care, pruning, thinning, fertilizing, was reduced to every 5 years, then barely at all. Trees died, others grew wild, overcrowded, or invasive. Virginia juniper, in particular, spread aggressively. It choked out grasses, hogged water, and, ironically, increased the risk of fire. Then came pivot irrigation, those big rotating sprinkler systems. Shelter belts got in the way of the circle, so many farmers simply cut them down. By the 1960s, survival rates of shelter belts dipped below 60%. A once heroic project became a relic of the past. Fast forward to now. You think we learned our lesson? We didn't. Today, America loses over 1.7 billion tons of topsoil every year. Let that sink in. Every single year. Gone with the wind, gone with the rain, gone with our food supply. The causes? Climate change, monoculture farming, overgrazing, urban sprawl. Same mistakes, different century. But there's a twist. Once again, people are fighting back with trees, with science, with regenerative agriculture. Government agencies like the Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS, are reviving the shelter belt concept, only smarter. Now we plant drought-resistant species, space them more effectively, and integrate them with modern irrigation systems. These new belts can still cut wind speeds by up to 50%, trap snow in winter, boost spring soil moisture, and increase yields. It's working, and it's spreading. But trees are just one piece of the puzzle. Another powerful tool? Cover crops. Think rye, clover, mustard. Not grown for harvest, grown to protect. They cover the soil between planting seasons, keeping it moist, holding it down, and feeding it nutrients. Between 2012 and 2017, U.S. cover crop acreage nearly doubled to 15 million acres. That number is climbing fast, especially in the Great Plains. Then there's rotational grazing, a method where livestock graze in tight cycles, moving from plot to plot. This gives grass time to recover and roots time to regrow. When done right, soil heals, biodiversity thrives, and farmers profit more in the long run. Healthy soil equals healthy food equals a healthy future. Now, maybe you're thinking, I'm not a farmer. Why should I care? Here's the reality. If the soil goes, everything goes. No soil, no crops. No crops, no food. No food, no society. Soil filters your water. It grows your vegetables. It absorbs carbon from the air. It literally holds the world together. We nearly lost it once, and we're inching dangerously close again. But here's the hopeful part. The Dust Bowl didn't just teach America, it taught the world. Inspired by the U.S., countries like China are planting massive forest belts to stop the Gobi Desert from swallowing entire regions. In Africa, nations are working together to build a great green wall across the continent, to hold back the Sahara. These aren't pipe dreams. They're happening, right now. And they started, in part, because of what happened in the 1930s. Because of the trees. Because of the shelter belts. Because people refused to give up on the land. Across the plains, many of those original 1930 shelter belts still stand, weathered, cracked, some barely alive, but they're still here. They are living monuments to a fight we once won. And today, a new generation is picking up the torch, planting again, protecting again, farming differently, listening to the land instead of exploiting it. This isn't just about crops. It's about legacy. It's about leadership. It's about realizing that fixing what's broken isn't just possible, it's necessary. So, the next time you drive past a dusty field, look closer. That green strip on the horizon, it might be part of the greatest environmental comeback story in American history. And the battle for the soil, it's not over. In fact, it's only just begun.